Next up, we have Hero versus Daisuke Sekimoto. This is from WXW, I'm not sure how you say the name, Krezugg show from Philadelphia. I mean, the Philly crowds just suck. I mean, obviously, I'll probably say that over and over again. You probably heard me say it a million times. But yeah, Sekimoto, definitely, I would say probably the best worker from. I mean, some people might disagree, but you know, from what I've seen, probably one of the best from Japan from this year. Definitely was one of the guys that came over to the States, wrestled in CZW, Chikara, and in WXW in April. And the match with Hero, I thought him and Hero just had a really excellent slugfest. It was really, just really, as the match progressed, it just really got awesome. Next up, we have Mike Quackenbush and Jigsaw taking on the Colony. This is from Chikara's Creatures of the Swartom. Just excellent mat wrestling here. You know, the Ants and Mike Quackenbush have great chemistry together. This is definitely, yeah, I don't know why this doesn't get enough praise. This is definitely a 4-star match. Campeones de Parejas, awesome stuff. Next up, we have the Future Shock versus the Young Bucks. This is from Steen Wolf. Amazing stuff. Really loved it. You know, these two teams are just made for each other. I can't wait to see more of them in Ring of Honor. I think this is the match that should have happened, that final battle. Next up, we have Christopher Daniels versus Eddie Edwards from ROH Takes Center Stage, Chapter 1. Excellent. Eddie Edwards' first title defense exceeded expectations. I was kind of worried about the crowd reaction to this match with Daniels going in. But Christopher Daniels has had an excellent year. The feud with Edwards, every single match was really awesome. And you could, I mean, if you said that this was their best match, I can't disagree with you. So next up, Rob Van Dam versus Jerry Lynn from Destination X. Yeah, I thought, you got to keep in mind, both guys are in their 40s. Jerry Lynn's like 47. Rob Van Dam, I think he was 40 at the time. But come on, man. I still thought for two 40-year-olds going out there, obviously they looked very slow compared to 1999. But come on, that was 13 years ago. So, I mean, what can you say? I still thought it was really good. I probably thought it was the second best match from Destination X. Blood Warriors versus Junction 3 from Kobe. This is the match we had all the factions running in. From Dragon Gate. It just really, you know, sometimes when the factions get involved, it drags, it looks sloppy. This was done in such a beautiful way. I can't even tell you. Definitely excellent 6-man tag match. Next we have Tanahashi versus Toru Yano from the G1 Climax tournament. All right, so this is when the people started saying that Tanahashi was becoming like the John Cena of New Japan, because Tanahashi got booed here, which is kind of cool. Because usually they don't boo people in Japan, especially the baby faces, and for it to happen here was really awesome. You know, Yano used the referee to his advantage to you know, clock Tanahashi with the chair. This got really bloody. This had tremendous near falls. A great crowd, probably the best crowd. Tanahashi was involved with some of the best crowd reactions from Japan this year, and definitely one of the top 3 matches from the G1 Climax that I've seen. Next up, we have Davey Richards versus that young knockout kid Chris Hero from one of the first ROH shows of the year, Survive. Only the Strong Survive. A little long, but very satisfying. I mean, Richards and Hero had like this main event caliber match in January. Usually January is a very dull time for ROH. They take a little bit of time to get warmed up. But I thought that show, Only the Strong Survive, was the best January show in Ring of Honor history. Next up, we have Randy Orton versus Christian from Smackdown. This is a lot shorter than their other matches, but it jump-started the feud in a beautiful way. A lot of people were really depressed after Christian lost the belts. But I don't know. I thought it was really well executed. I just wish Christian came out on top at the end of the feud. But hey, you know, at the end of the day, Christian was a 2-time world champion. You know, there's really not much to complain about, you know, considering he talked negatively about the WWE in another promotion. I still think they accomplished a lot. I thought Randy Orton and Christian had a great feud, and this match on SmackDown was short. It was sweet. It was really probably the best WWE television match of the year. Next up, we have Ryo Saito and Genki Horiguchi, the Dragon Gate Tag Team Champions, taking on BB Hulk and Masato Yoshino from the Dragon Gate pay-per-view Dead or Alive. Excellent tag team action. Great Dragon Gate stuff. You know, I believe after BB Hulk took the pinfall, this is what signaled his heel turn in Dragon Gate. Definitely not a match that people have talked about, but definitely one of the best tag team Dragon Gate matches I've seen from this year. All right, next up we have Kota Ibushi versus Prince Devitt from Wrestlekingdom 5. I think this match is a little bit overrated. Definitely wouldn't go in the 4.5-star range, but I mean, just a really sweet athletic exhibition. I think the Wrestlekingdom card was starting to lack with the TNA guys, and these guys kind of brought life to the middle of the card. So just definitely another great title defense for Prince Devitt. He defended the Junior Heavyweight Championship. Next, we have the Kings of Wrestling versus Kevin Steen and Akira Tozawa from DDT4. Excellent stuff. You know, one of the best matches from DDT4, which was an awesome show. You got Tozawa and Hero going at it. They kind of rekindled their little rivalry that they started at Bola, which was so emotional. And, you know, this probably could have been better if they really wanted it to be. Because sometimes tournament matches kind of take a hit because it is a tournament match. But still, just probably the second best match from DDT4. Next, we have Eddie Edwards versus Christopher Daniels, ROH's 9th anniversary show. I've become a big crowd reaction guy over the last year. But I will admit, you know, you can pull off a great match without a hot crowd. But you have to get that respectfulness from the crowd, and I feel like they had it here. Even though the crowd wasn't hot, they were really into them. You could tell they were very appreciative with the hold-for-hold counter wrestling that Daniels and Edwards did. This had a lot of great storytelling. One of the best storytelling Ring of Honor matches of the year, especially with Daniels getting the concussion. Just really good stuff. Really kind of... it kind of set up Eddie Edwards winning the Ring of Honor World Championship in a nice way, and definitely led to the rematch at WrestleMania weekend really nicely. Next up, Edge versus Dolph Ziggler from the Royal Rumble. I think this match is underrated. I saw way too many people not give this 4 stars. I don't know. This is definitely probably Ziggler's best match. I would definitely say that it is. You really impressed me here. I just thought, once again, you just had some really good storytelling here with the whole Vicky Guerrero thing, with Edge not allowed to do the spear, Edge trying to find ways where he could find a way to get the referee down so he could actually do the spear. He gave a nice shout out to Christian to end the match. I thought this was awesome. An excellent way to start off the Rumble. Next up, we have Masato Yoshino versus Don Fuji from Dragon Gate Infinity. This happened back in January. I can't remember what Dragon Gate Infinity it was. But goddamn, this is awesome. This never a dull moment. This did not drag at all. Yoshino is one of my favorite guys to watch, and you know, him mixing it up with Don Fuji, who's not a typical Dragon Gate guy. He's just pretty much like a Japanese wrestling veteran, and him and Yoshino just had just an excellent match. No waste of motion. Just a lot of hard hitting lariats from Fuji, and just tremendous. You know, athleticism and counters from Yoshino. Just definitely check it out. Don't sleep on it. Next up, we have Ryusuke Taguchi versus Kota Ibushi. This is the finals of the best of the Super Juniors tournament. Kota Ibushi actually won the tournament, and these guys had an awesome main event. I mean, probably not as you know, some of the guys from Japan that really follow Japanese wrestling probably won't like this as much as I did, but you just get a lot of great athleticism, great near falls. You know, Ibushi against the other guy from Apollo 55. I thought it was a great main event. Next up, we have El Generico versus Daisuke Sekimoto. This is for the WXW Heavyweight Championship from the 16-karat gold tournament from night 3, which is definitely one of the most underrated shows of the year. That great triple main event. Generico and Sekimoto definitely had the match of the night from that show, probably. Wow. Just amazing stuff. I guess the Sekimoto's just been on a tear this year, man. He has. You know, if it wasn't for tagging all the tag matches that he had, I would probably say he was probably the best wrestler from Japan. But you know, he became more of a tag team wrestler. So next up, we have Austin Aries versus Jon Moxley from Evolve 7. I think Big Rat had a really cool analysis of this, where he talked about Aries trying to find ways where he could put Moxley away because, you know, nothing else was really working, and then he finally pinned him at the end of the match. Moxley was kind of, you know, a little sloppy on purpose, but that's what kind of worked, though. You know, he was swinging, he was doing the Vince McMahon thing where he was like kind of like throwing his arms at him like he was a giraffe, but it was pretty effective, though. And you know, Jon Moxley's last match before he went to the WWE, I thought this was really just the setup and first of all, Austin Aries, you got to give him credit for delivering that promo, because I would not have went to the show if it wasn't for him hyping up this match. So definitely, I really love the Evolve 7 show. I voted for it for one of my top 5 shows of the year. Next up, we have Claudio Castagnoli versus Takashi Sugiura from Pro Wrestling Noah. I mean, definitely not one of Sugiura's better title defenses. This happened right before he lost the belt. It happened in Germany. It's co-promoted with WXW, but I don't know. I would say it was a solid 4-star match. Just nowhere near some of Sugiura's best stuff from this year. But still, you had really good intensity from Claudio. The match definitely had its moments, but it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was, you know, amazing. Let's go to the next match that was underrated on this countdown. All right, okay, I'm sorry. Next up, we have Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Yuji Nagata. This happened from New Japan's, I believe it was the New Dimension pay-per-view from back in April. I mean, Nagata is awesome, and this match still proves it. You know, he really. You know, I heard some people say Nagata carried the match or whatever, but yeah, just another great Tanahashi match. And Nagata just has, I don't know, he like, I would say facial expressions and stiffness and just, you know, I don't know, he kind of reminds me a little bit of, I would say he's like the Japanese version of Finlay to a degree. I'm not sure how many people would agree with me about that, but yeah, man, just really not a lot. I mean, some people said this was their match of the year. And I could see why, but I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. But, you know, definitely kind of unappreciated on YouTube. But I've heard some forums say, you know, definitely the match of the year. Next up, we have Kenta versus Go Shiozaki. Go Shiozaki won the belt, and this is one of his first major title defenses against Kenta. So Kenta lost the match, but, you know, he got a crazy amount of near falls, you know, a lot of stiffness. But, you know, I don't know. I would definitely love to see Kenta win the belt in the future. This is one of the first title shots I think he's had in a long time. But you know, a lot of people say Shiozaki is not over right now, which I kind of agree with. But I don't know. I'd rather see Shiozaki as the champion over Morishima, because I felt like last time they kind of, you know, took it off of Shiozaki a little bit too soon. Next up, the Raw Elimination Chamber match. I thought Punk was great in this match. John Morrison was probably the MVP, actually. But, you know, the whole thing with Punk and Randy Orton, that whole thing about how they eliminated Orton and, you know, Punk having the problem with the pod in the chamber. I just thought it was really creative. And I personally, I thought this was probably a little bit better than the Smackdown Elimination Chamber match because of the creativity of the booking. Next up, we have the American Wolves versus Future Shock from No Escape. This is awesome, not just because it was a great match, but I really felt like the Eddie Edwards, Davey Richards storyline, this is a great start to what they could have done. But because they had the television stuff coming up, they kind of, you know, put this on the back burner and didn't really expand as to what they had here with, you know, Eddie Edwards, you know, kind of damaging Kyle O'Reilly's Achilles lock because he didn't hear the ring bell, and Davey got all pissed off about it. I just thought that was a great way to start the feud. All right, next up we have the Young Bucks versus American Wolves from DDT4. These two teams have had awesome matches in the past. I mean, in my opinion, this is the best match from DDT4. I just think these guys make a great combination. These two teams, the Wolves and the Bucks, you know, just great action. Next up we have Fist versus the Colonies. This is the finals of King of Trios, and really just probably the most creative finish of the year. You know, this is very emotional for some people that have been following Chikara for a while. You know, the Colony finally won King of Trios, and just an excellent match to close off a great King of Trios weekend. Next up we have Sekimoto versus Sadaka from 0-1. Interesting matchup because Sadaka was at such a size disadvantage, so it was kind of a cool story there. But yeah, I mean, this is Sekimoto's just had great matches in a wide variety of promotions throughout, you know, the United States, the indies in the United States, and the indies from Japan. Next up we have Tanahashi versus Kojima. This is from Wrestlekingdom 5, which is really underrated. Really loved it. I thought it was the best match from Wrestle Kingdom. Like I've said this in the review, felt like a WrestleMania main event. And Tanahashi won the belt from Kojima to start his great title reign. Next we have Sekimoto and Kobayashi taking on Soya and how you say his name? Hama from Big Japan. All right, Hama is the really fat motherfucker, which I was talking about. And I would say this is the kind of match where even if you don't like professional wrestling, you'll be kind of drawn to it because this guy is so fat and he has his facial expressions. He looks so mean and he looks so heelish that you're just kind of into it. And really, it was just so interesting to see, you know, Sekimoto and Kobayashi try to take him apart. And the guy Soya looked really impressive in the match. The other guy that was Hama's tag team partner, just really one of the funnest matches of the year. I absolutely loved it. Definitely check it out. This happened from Big Japan back in April. Next up, we have Davey Richards versus TJ Perkins from Ring of Honor SoCal Showdown 2. Davey put over TJ after the match. You know, TJ and Davey are both from the West Coast, so they have a lot in common. and have a huge history together. And these two had, you know, a combination of, you know, martial arts and a lot of mat wrestling that they combined in this matchup. Just really, really, you know, sweet stuff. Definitely the best match in SoCal Showdown 2. And, you know, Davey, you know, this is probably the match which got TJ Perkins a contract in Ring of Honor. Next